What was your question?
Would you like to open the meeting for today's Constitution call?
Sure, yes. Just a little bit of context. Anneloes and I have been talking a little bit back and forth about how we can introduce this concept of a constitution and what is really the point of a constitution. And in this sense, it's more of a compass. It's more of how we navigate and direct and guide ourselves in this new territory we're co-creating together. So rather it being a constitution, which is generally something that feels fixed and set in stone, we felt we would more have this as a compass, something that we co-create to guide us through this journey. So it's a different way of looking at what this document means and how we go about co-creating it. So we've been having a lot of really enjoyable conversations, and what I was really hoping to get out of this particular one was for her to share her concepts and ideas, and really what I'm sure you've been working on for the last decade plus, Anneloes. This is the work you basically did your PhD in. That's was right. Systems change and the process for going through changing systems, right? Which is essentially what we're doing here. And I felt like, who better to help guide this than someone who's spent the last decade plus researching and doing her dissertation on this topic. So there's a lot of wisdom that can be gained here. And I believe we've come up with a framework of a proposal that I wanted you to be able to present to the community so that we could discuss this and see what elements of this really feels good and aligned for us to bring into the Constitution, and helping guide the co-creation of the Constitution at this stage. A lot of big words there, but let me know if everyone's following on that. And maybe before we kick this off, I could just open it up with a couple questions if anyone has anything to help clarify what this is about and where we're about to go.
Is there anyone who has a question before we get going into it? Because I'll be sharing a couple of things in slideshow so you get to see, what we're all talking about.
Actually, I do. Hello, everyone. I'm Yasmin, and I unfortunately wasn't able to join yesterday's call. I was in another 3-hour ceremony, and I am just curious since I'm just joining today, perhaps there's others who weren't here yesterday, maybe just briefly in a few words or sentences what the theme was yesterday, just so I feel like I could plug it into today. And if you feel that today is independent of yesterday, just so I have a sense of what I'm entering in, because I feel a field has probably already been formed since yesterday. So yeah, that was my question. And yeah, and it's good to be here. Lovely to see you all. Yeah.
Nice, welcome. So yes, yesterday was beautiful. It was a solstice ceremony, and Rain, Franz, and myself facilitated, and we had as our honorary elder grandmother Yoti. And so Grandmother Yoti did an amazing prayer for us, solstice blessing, and she also created the seeds altar. And she then lit the seeds candles with the sacred fires that she has had for decades on her altar that have been used in ceremony all along. So it's really kind of passing that on, the fire from the sacred councils to then illuminate the heart of seeds. And we went also into a very deep visioning and a beautiful cleansing, purification, and connecting with the heart of seeds as a being. And then we did a visioning into the thrivable civilization that is part of the seeds vision. And what we worked on is that all of us here already have a seed of that civilization, of that coding in us, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And that means that all of us already have some of this coding of this future that we are seeking to manifest together. And what we worked on yesterday is that with the very rare Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in Aquarius, which really signals kind of the birth moment of constitutionalizing this new era, and therefore also constitutionalizing this new civilization. We use that as the anchor point to go into this future, the seeds future, and the future of a thrivable civilization. And then from there, bringing back really from that future perspective to send then the wisdom into now and ground it. And so how it follows on then today is to saying that if we take now as a given that all of us already have a little bit of that future time in us, of this new cycle, of this beautiful civilization, then we need a system to actualize that. And that means it relates both to what is the actualization that we are using for the seed system, so that seeds, not only as a kind of technology, but also as a culture, as a system, as a community, and as Reiki said in the week before, as almost like a meta-human level, can come into being. And this is where, you know, what I've been kind of supporting in the seeds process is to look at the constitution in that way, so that when the real purpose of a constitution is to be able to work with the deeper coding of that future time, and then to be able to bring that into being, so that it's almost like the surface of reality from where you are now co-creating, and we are, you know, growing the seeds, is then itself, it constitutionalizes a higher order of reality that is already part of future consciousness. And that means we have a completely integrated, you know, approach, that the constitution itself is a constitution of that future consciousness, and allows us then to bring that into being. And I'm going to be sharing some slides with all of you today to have a little bit of an understanding about that, and how you can then use that process as a compass. That's then basically saying a compass, the purpose of a compass is to give guidance. And the purpose of a compass is also to bring us in touch with those core coordinates of life itself, and to understand where is my true north, and what are also the values and the principles and the commitments that are required to bring our future potential into being. So if everyone is okay with that, then let me go and share some of the slides now, so it can give some further context, and then we'll open it up for everyone's inputs. So let me see. Now, can you all see this? Yeah, great. Okay. So the whole process around the whole seeds journey of discovery is, of course, about actualizing our future potential. And okay, so here's the Thrivability compass design that, as Reiki just said earlier, that comes really out of a decade or more of my work, which is both about how do we actualize ourselves, how do we actualize our future, how do we bring it into being. And I'm going to guide you through the steps of this so that you understand what this means. And how that really is based on a living systems design principles. And what you can see here is that it's based on the Fibonacci pattern as well. And this is also how we can kind of redesign the seeds constitution by that same pattern. And we'll be looking at that a little bit later, how to see the seeds constitution as a purpose. It resonates with the number of the one, then the vision, that it has three aspects. How the actualization system for the seeds consciousness, both from a systemic perspective as well as the cultural dimension. And then also the values, the seeds values that we worked on in the previous constitutional call. And then a lot of principles already in this old seeds constitutions. So if you kind of order them well, you can easily find out of that 13 really key principles. And then also commitments. And out of that, then we're creating these benefits. And the rest of the constitution is then also about the governance system. So let me guide you through this process. So it all starts with purpose first. At the center of the compass then, and that would also be the first article of the Constitution, is to understand that the purpose, our own purpose, the purpose of why we are together, the purpose of seeds as a system, a community, and a culture, has two aspects to it. One is our cosmic potential, which is really the potential that is coming from, you could say, the non-local realities of life, the eternal aspects of life, what gives us then the greater vision and understanding of it means to be human, to be here. And the other one is what we could say is the kind of seed code. And I know that code is quite specific in kind of the seeds language for programming, but here we're using also the word code just to explain this system as the deeper cosmological coding that we are all having. And codes, cosmological codes are created with information that doesn't degenerate. That's the beauty of it. That information is fractal, information is always whole and unified, and it's a fractal consciousness itself. So the key question that we'll be asking when we are working with purpose, be it our own purpose within seeds or the purpose of seeds itself, is really what's the purpose for this existence? And it's important that we have to be able to answer that question, why does seeds exist? That we have a coherent answer for that. And part of that is also then what future potential is seeking to be actualized. And that's here symbolized at this little blue dot as our cosmic potential. And the caterpillar here, because the future consciousness is already as a code, as a cosmic code, imaginal code in the caterpillar, in its skin, and that's what's called the imaginal disc. So the caterpillar is born with those imaginal discs, and it's just that they're in a state of dormancy until the caterpillar has eaten so much and grown so much that the hormones that kind of suppress the growth of the butterfly stop. And so we're going to go now through the whole process of the metamorphosis, and that relates then also to the compass and the seed's constitution. So the third aspect of both what we need as a compass, what you need as a constitution, is to understand your vision. And for a vision, it's really important that we have a grounding in life itself. So if we take now as our grounding, as our foundation for the vision, from where we're looking at what we're looking for, and what's kind of guiding our vision, is then that if we align it with the three laws of life, which is the law of existence, the law of change, and the law of balance, which also aligns with the three laws of thermodynamics, and in some cosmology that's been kind of reinterpreted as the law of infodynamics, then what we can see is that the first law is really about the spiritual dimensions of life. The second aspect of the law of change is about the physical dimensions of life, so that we start to understand how change happens. And that's really important if we're working, of course, with a constitution, because we also want to understand our own change process, as well as the change that we're catalyzing. And then the third aspect of the law of balance is really our purpose as planetary stewards. And you can see here, as humanity, there's a lot for us to learn, because this is all about boundaries. How that's kind of represented here in this graphic is that the first law is the little blue dot. The law of change is about understanding the spirals, the spiral of expansion and the spiral of contraction. It goes to say that's the masculine and the feminine aspect. And then the third law, which is really about our own purpose as planetary stewards, is about that law of balance, which is the circle around. That's the circle of life. That's about really learning to work with the boundaries of our systems and our planet and our cultures and life itself, because these boundaries seek to protect the interdependencies of life. And so if we now apply that then to the process of envisioning and feeling our own vision within seeds, as well as the seeds vision as a whole, then there are also three dimensions of that vision that we should somehow have that well articulated in the Constitution also, as well as in all the other documents. And one is about the question, okay, what's the cosmic inspiration of our vision? That's really what's the biggest vision, the long-term understanding, what's really inspiring us. And that's all about the future world that we choose to co-create, because there are many different possibilities. And this is where our choice and commitment is incredibly important, to see which possibility we are bringing into being. And the second is then the planetary context. And that is about the evolutionary relevance now. So a vision should somehow answer to that as well. So in our vision, why is this evolutionary relevant right now? What is the planetary context of this vision? And what is the necessity as well as the invitation, and how does it seek to engage humanity in this vision. And then the third aspect is about the local realization. This is all about the future embodiment in the present. So it's also about you are the local realization of the cosmic as well as the planetary vision. Seeds also as an organism is the local realization again of that cosmic inspiration as well as the planetary context for why this is coming into being, which is related to the purpose. And that's those three aspects, and when they are embedded in the vision, what we then ensure is that we also have the continuity. So we have also the three dimensions of time, past, present, future. We're working from hindsight, insight, and foresight, also working with the sacred Trinity principles. All of that is aligned. And as you can see here now, this little caterpillar is starting to make its cocoon. So in the process of the metamorphosis, this is where we find that when the imaginal discs are starting now, they've activated and they're aligning to become imaginal cells. That's also kind of when the vision in us starts to be born in terms of this future consciousness. And that brings me on to the next dimension of the compass, and that is the actualization process. And in this actualization process, there are 5 wisdoms, 5 archetypes, 5 elements. That's just to give you a little idea of kind of the architecture that's behind it. I won't go into great details, and we're going to be giving lots of courses over that in the new year, but just that you can see that in the Seeds Constitution, it's good to have some reference to what is our actualization process. And what I've offered before is that we can also embed these 5 future archetypes of the imaginal process of the metamorphic transformation in seeds. And those archetypes are mentioned here below as a wholeness coder, future creative, evolutionary catalyst, pattern weaver, new paradigm storyteller. But we will be giving also some to go in depth. I just want you to kind of see that feeling. And here you can see that in the stage of the actualization process, then this is when we are really are cocooned. And that's important because it's when the cocooning is happening, just like in the womb as well. And in fact, just what's happening now with COVID, when we are, we are being cocooned. This is when the actualization process with these wisdoms, with these elements, with these archetypes, then starts to come forth to really do the deep inner work. So the cocooning then also serves the purpose of providing this safe, protective space so that that inner transformation now can really unfold very safely. And when you put the 5 stages and the archetypes together, what you'll see is that you see here the toroidal movement. So when we are at the stage of the wholeness coder, or what we here work with purpose, then the future consciousness, the future potential is still there cosmologically, but it's not yet embedded. And the caterpillar, it means it is when we are in the future creator, and then we are starting to really work with the vision, and we start to make the cocoon. So now the outer and older body of the caterpillar is starting to degenerate, but inside the butterfly is being born and starts to coordinate the process. And then the next one, the evolutionary catalyst, now we're really coming down from kind of cosmological dimensions, we're going into the planetary. So this is when the Earth herself and the evolutionary process here on Earth starts to give its patterns, starts to bring in its potential, starts to give its membranes. And that is really the cocoon stage also of then the actualization process. And then the next archetype works then with the pattern weaver, which is now starting to create integral systems. And that means also in the butterfly stages, now the imaginal cells have been linked up properly to create imaginal organs of the butterfly body, have been further working to integrate into imaginal systems of the butterfly body. And that's also the stage of the emergence out of the cocoon. So now we really have that from the pattern weaver stage, and you'll see later where that is in the compass. That's when we are really able now to emerge from the chrysalis. And what do we need here in our compass and in our constitution is our values and our principles, because now we really need to make sure that we have a very clear way of directing our way forward as we've now kind of come out of our own transformation process. And then the new paradigm storyteller, that's the beautiful butterfly that takes it out there, that creates these beautiful thrivability benefits. And this is where the commitments towards the civilization that we are creating is really important, so that this beautiful butterfly can fertilize now our world by kind of landing on the seed potentials then of the future consciousness in our world. And that brings me then to the directional values. So here you see that the values serve to give guidance for growth. And then we have both outer and inner growth. So here is represented 4 suns that guide the outer direction of growth, which is about our expression, about our reach, about where we are going. And the inner ones are like the moons. They guide the cycles and the rhythms. So when we think about our growth, it's so important that we have both outer and inner, both the sun and the star, as well as the moons. Also, again, here the masculine and the feminine aspect. So all of that is beautifully balanced. And this, again, comes out of the courses that I'm giving, but just to give you a taste. So this is about principle of 13, which is where the full self-actualization takes place, but also the actualization and of the potential of seed. And for that, it needs to be clarity around the principles that we're using, and also what are the powers and the tools. And this is just to give you an example of how that's applied in my own work, but then for seeds, we can then write down kind of the principles that we really feel are important in terms of the seeds process. And for the seeds rite of passage and the seeds ceremonies for the journey of discovery, we can also look at tools that we feel are really specific to seeds. But these are kind of some universal tools that serve as reminders. And the 13th is here in the center, and the 12 now are these little portals that you see around. So if you're using the right principles, powers, and tools, then they become a key for unlocking then those future potentials within ourselves and within life and the world around us. And if we really want to bring that all the way into being, that we need to work with commitments. And 16 also represents the kind of master number for manifestation, 4 times 4. And if you put this as a quest, then usually kind of the structure that I create in my quest is that you have 4 challenges for the call of the quest. You have 4 challenges to discover the tools, powers, and principles of the quest. 4 for engaging the allies. This is when you create your partnership, your friendship, you deepen your relationship, and you also make the cosmos, the universe, and the earth, and the archetypes your ally, and you become a good ally for life as well in this process of bringing this future into being. And then the 4th stage of the quest is about 4 challenges that are really about how do we now apply the powers and resources that are being developed through this quest, through this seed's journey of discovery. And when we then apply that and we have made those commitments and we really live that, then we create the field of plenty and the whole world value. So all of those benefits, they naturally emerge from this whole process. And I started to work on the Constitution already to name those seeds, benefits, and values, and there are plenty there. So there's, it's beautiful also again to list that, so people seeing that we are really actively creating whole world value, but that the whole world value comes out of a process. It's not just something that we put on paper. And that brings me then to the seeds journey of discovery. So here you have the logo. So if you were to kind of redesign or tell it as a story, then you would have a little beautiful green dot in the center. And then as that's the purpose. Then for the vision stage, then the little seed in the center now starts to become the infinity symbol. Then the infinity symbol starts spinning around. It's creating its cocoon, so that the vision has a cocoon in which it can now come down, become embodied, and starts to then go through the actualization process. And as it's then being cocooned in and it's going through the 5 archetypes, then you will see that that's already there as well, because the center archetype is in that little seed, and the other archetypes are in the 4 leaves. And then as it comes out of its own actualization process, and then we starting to get the beautiful seed values and the seed principles around, that also then becomes the emergence of this symbol out of the cocoon. And then we start to see this symbol that you're seeing here of the seeds logo, but then as a butterfly. And then when we start working with the seeds commitments, then, and it starts to then, as a butterfly, then this logo now has wings. It has the capacity to then go out into the field of plenty and create this whole world value. So in the Constitution, if we were to apply that, that means we'll have a declaration, which is already there. And then, well, Article 1 could be about describing quickly the seeds Thrivability compass. Then the next is about our purpose, why we exist as seeds, the vision, the seeds promise. Then the next one is the actualization process based on those 5 future archetypes that are kind of universal archetypes. Then our 8 values for guiding our directions, 13 principles for actualizing seeds potentials. Then the 16 seeds commitments for manifesting the seeds promise. And then these beautiful seeds fruits for whole world value. And then the rest of the Constitution is really about the governance, the rights and the responsibilities. And then you have, as a kind of second document to that, the game guide. So I'd love to see for the rest of today's call to go with you to look quickly at the purpose, the vision, and the values. So this is the old definition out of the Constitution, that the purpose of seeds to grow healthier cultures, coordinate and united as systems. Just want to give some input to that, is that
Anneloes, before we dive right into this, maybe we could pause to see if there's any immediate feedback or thoughts on that first section, because there's an incredible amount of information shared. So just want to make sure everyone's tracking.
Sure. Let me go stop share that we can give
I can just give a quick feedback. Thank you so much, Anneloes, because it seems like for me it would be a challenge to deliver so much information and so much depth in such a short period of time. And I feel like there's so much to go in depth, and it's like, for me, there's many clicking happening, like kind of aha moments. And I love all this connection with the elements, archetypes, and sacred numerology. And yeah, there's like, I feel there's so much to unfold in its amazing framework. So thanks so much for your work. That's my feedback.
Thank you. Who else would like to say or ask, or just unmute yourself? And just know that I can't read the chat when I'm doing screen share. So if any of you have been sending me messages, I'm only being able to look at that now. Anyone else who would like to say or ask anything?
I would just like to say that the basic idea of it, and just the whole context of spatial reason, a sense of space and directionality and a sense of place, I think are just hugely important in what we're doing here. Thank you.
That's it, exactly. Thank you.
Anneloes, you're so incredible. What's a way, I think everyone is equally impressed with this gift that you're giving us, and how do we bring it into our bodies together so that we manifest it? Because right now it's in the ether and it's incredible and it's shining, and I've never heard such a fine presentation, and this has been my field all my life. So I'm all in, but now how do we bring it into our bodies and discern what role it is that we want to play, because we all have very special and completely different talents. So what's a optimal way to do that?
Very good question, Susan. Thank you. I think there's several ways. One is that we can go over envision the values and the principles and the but first, I think the first question is, do we feel that this is a system that we want to go with? If we feel all of
I think you can get that so quick. So why don't you try that one, then we can go forward.
Okay. So that was like, today was really about, does this feel aligned for you? Because I don't want to do anything that doesn't have the community support or deep alignment or resonance. So this is basically saying, look, it's an offer, and I'm very happy to support Seeds in that way. But do you all feel that that's what you want? And if the question,
so I have a response to that you're making us an offer. So if each of us can go into our higher selves and ask, why am I here? What is my purpose in this life? What do I do well and love to do that applies to this? And then we ground it. Every one of us grounds it. And you see where you have the volunteers that are just right, and so you're all set, and where there's positions that aren't staffed, and how we're going to find those people. So let's just get concrete, because this is the most brilliant presentation I've ever heard about the reality of life ever. And I'm 79. I've listened to a lot of them. So I bet we all give you a standing ovation and then start giving you responses about, well, what I love to do best and do pretty well is this part of it. And then we can start getting some anchors and what spots aren't filled, and we can just move forward, because I betcha every one of us is so motivated. It's like, okay, let's go. So that's my idea that I suggest.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Reiki, maybe do you want to do a hands up for that and see who wants it, or how do you want to do it? Do you want to do a vote on it?
Yeah, I mean, we could take that particular conversation into Discord as we, continue to discuss this, and even into the document that you're sharing. I think that'd be a more apt place to bring this dialogue.
Okay, perfect. And then the other answer to that, Susan, is that we'll also then be embedding that into the rite of passage for Seeds, there will be then through the Renaissance University of Seeds, a course where I can guide people. Then I'll really be guiding all of you through that for a long journey, so that'll be like a 7-week quest, so that we actually go through the process, and that you then also learn to work with that system for yourself, so that you get clear about what is my purpose, what really is my vision for my life, what are my values that help me to grow both within and to go out in life, what are the key principles for me, what are really my core commitments, and and how do I share all the benefits and the value that my life is generating. So then I feel, as a community also ourselves, we start to work with this, and I see this just as basic architecture of life. It's within nature and living systems. Nothing that I've shared here is something that I'm kind of imposing or inventing. All I've done is just look at how does life grow and evolve. Everything that you see.
Well, it may also be helpful if people create a one-sentence mission of why we're alive. And it has to be inspiring, it has to be daunting, it has to be short so everybody else can remember it. And so that when we're with someone, we already know why they're alive, and then I know how I can help them. And it just accelerates everything, and it's so free and exciting, and most important of all, life. And Seeds is just the perfect global organ to deliver it in. So I'm all in, and I bet everyone else is too. So let's proceed as Reiki suggests.
Great. Wonderful, because that's also links to your beautiful KINS process, because the KINS process speaks to the purpose, so that's your mission statement is within that first step right there and then. So that aligns beautifully. So great. Okay, so if Reiki, shall I then go with, I just wanted to get some people's input on the vision, the old and the new, and the old and the new definition of purpose, because I think it's quite important that we have clarity on that. Yeah, okay, I'm seeing a heart, so then I'll just go back to that now, and that will only take about 5 minutes, and then I'll stop the screen share and then come back into the conversation. And then I'm just wondering if I can actually bring that out of the chat, but let's see. Okay, that's another one. Hold on. Let's on the screen. So this is what we had before as the old purpose, and that was the focus to grow healthier cultures coordinated and united by systems. But what I was going to propose is that you allow for the interdependence between cultures and systems. So not just that the systems grow the cultures, but that also the cultures grow the systems. So it's a mutual relationship. And what you get then, and that of course we can still reward that, but just want you to kind of think about it conceptually, that you could also say seeds facilitates and empowers a creation of, and I know sometimes we say new, we can see if we want that in thriving global civilization, but here's the emphasis: through evolutionary coherent cultures and regenerative economic, financial, governance systems that genuinely serve the well-being of humanity and life. So what I've done here is kind of brought together from texts that I found in different documents of seeds, but then kind of linking the evolutionary coherent cultures and the regenerative systems as on this kind of mutual relationship. And I'll just go quickly through it, and then we will go into the input for everyone. So this is the old seeds vision in the old constitution. You see there's I think this comes out of kind of our heartstorming instead of brainstorming. So our kind of collective input from many sessions. But it'd be really nice to make that concise, again, from this understanding of the cosmological inspiration, the planetary relevance, and the local embodiment. So here's a proposition. Maybe our vision is the regenerative renaissance of a new and thriving global civilization by sowing, and then we have the word again of seeds, because this word seeds means sowing coordinated, ecological, equitable, and decentralized societies. So that's actually the seeds definition, that co-creatively steward our planetary and future well-being. So there you have the larger vision, which is this regenerative renaissance. That's kind of the cosmological aspect. You have the planetary relevance about this showing coordinated ecological, equitable, etc. And you have the third dimension also then of our planetary and future well-being, how we steward that. So this was an example of a vision that then has these three aspects within it. So these were the values that we had come up with before from our previous sessions together, and all I've done is organize them. So I've just put them as what I thought were more like sun values, and the other one more like the moon values, more about the outer growth, and the other one's about the inner growth. And you see the responsibility, integrity, stewardship, generosity. On the one hand, they're like our suns, and the moons are really about the trust and the care, reciprocity, and passion. And so you can see also how they kind of go together, and how we as a system and as a being and as a larger organism also grow in balance, because balance is all about the third law. And yeah, that's it. So from here, love to hear all of your ideas. And Reiki, let me know how you want to proceed from here. Would you like me to put the old definitions and new ones in, or in the chat?
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Just to provide context to everyone, what Anneloes is proposing is a different approach to how we've written the Constitution so far. So that's the dialogue here, and what we're going to continue offline is, what about this proposal that Anneloes is bringing to the table do we want to adopt? What don't we want to adopt? Like, how do we want to, take this and shift it? So this is a proposal. It's not a wholesale change with sudden notice. And what we'd love now is, immediate thoughts and feedback on this current proposal. So I put some question prompts in the chat. So if any of that sparks anything in any of you, feel free to unmute yourself and give that feedback now, or ask questions or whatever you have.
I have a quick feedback. One thing for me that didn't sit quite right, there was something mentioning financial system. And like, I'm personally have this little thing with the word financial and with the word finances. There's already economical system, which, yeah, economy can be neutral, but finances carrying this, I believe, old image of this old story of money, of finances, etc. And what is this old story carrying, and what I'm noticing in myself and other people, is this idea of luck, idea of being in debt, idea of scarcity that not allowing people to thrive. And for me, one thing is missing is bringing this idea of abundance, because we already, as a human beings living on this planet, have enough resource, enough everything to do what we need to do, what we came here to do, what we want to do. And I feel like seeds bringing this idea of abundance, of that we are not in luck, that there's no scarcity of this lack of resource or something on this earth, so we can move forward and thrive. Thank you. That's me.
Reiki, I'll let you answer to that so I can continue to put some things in the chat here. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, I'd like to say real quick that I really like the new, or what you're proposing as a visual. Essentially, the first thing that new seeds will come in and see is this constitutional compass that gives them a very easy to understand. I'm imagining a visual element immediately that allows them to see the purpose, the vision, the sun, the moon, all these different, all these multitude of benefits that come scattering out in the edges. I just think it'll really serve people like myself that are visual individuals, and people that are looking for a quick and easy understanding of what's going on. I think it might really help. So I really love it, Anneloes. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. Glad to hear that. Wonderful.
Yeah, maybe I want to also give some positive feedback. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. It's much better than before, because before it was this, conglomeration of nice thoughts, but now it's like very concise and focused, and in the end much better, even if maybe it doesn't capture all of the old ones, but at the same time it just makes much more sense for somebody reading it. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's very good, and I can see that it's coming from this, from the whole context that you provided first, from the thrivability, from the butterfly, from the, from all these things. It's really great. It's really great. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Building on what has been said already, what I like a lot is this, what you could call the simplicity of what you presented. So in many ways, the visuals are very simple and sort of give a tug to your heart, and you resonate at some level. But then there's also the complexity of life that is integrated in all of this. And so this plays out at the individual level, at an organizational level, and at the national level, and all of that. So it's like a really beautiful template to create a whole new world. So compliments.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And the source codes you will recognize that you always work with. They are part of that to this way. Yes. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
Let me put my, okay. I mentioned this once before, and I don't know how to take it forward, but I find this community is very based on spiritual values. Like people go on fasts, and I think earlier on I heard you mention about spirituality. And for me, we're trying to incarnate a new spiritual way of being, you know, well, the physical world's a reflection of the spiritual world, right? And we're trying to incarnate a new idea into the world, a new way of handling money. And I'm not sure if we can, but I don't, like in these values, I never see anything written down in the previous constitution or the constitution we have now. I haven't really read the whole thing, but I'm not sure if I've once read anything about spirituality. Is there any way we could actually bring that into the constitution? So I think that we're sort of scared to mention that because people have so many different spiritual backgrounds and stuff. Is there a general word we could use?
So put it as wisdom.
The which?
And charity as wisdom. So that we can, for example, that wisdom. So we also say that other kinds of systems. So wisdom can be also and yet at the same time, that is, what do you think?
Maybe I can interject here. I love what you said, Walter, and I think that spirituality is a big part of the community, and it seems to be a very strong element for everybody. I think where it gets confusing is when we bring religion into the picture, but I think spirituality is an incredibly important and missing part of many global movements. And to bring some perspective from Asia, where I live, and where some of the folks are from seeds, in Bali, there's a concept called Trihita Karana, which basically is a philosophy about life, which says that the best life is a life that is lived in harmony with nature, with humanity, and with divinity or spirituality. And there's also a very beautiful Chinese character, which means leadership or king, in which there are 3 horizontal lines, each stacked above each other, and a vertical line that integrates these 3 lines. And the bottom horizontal line is Earth, the middle horizontal line is humanity, and the top horizontal line is spirituality or the divine realms. And a leader is one who creates connection and harmony between these 3 realms. So I would fully support including more about spirituality into some of our texts and into our constitution. Thank you.
Woohoo! Woohoo! I'm for that.
Good. And you know it. So let's see where we can put it. Maybe also in the vision, because in the working with the Taurus, all of that is about bringing the spirituality into being. Because the top of the Taurus, that is the cosmological spiritual. And then here in that middle point, this is where it kind of incarnates into just like think of it as a cosmic womb and into the planning food incarnate and then guide the process of manifestation. That's why. It is completely within it.
The content is very spiritual in a way, but I think it's important to be mentioned as the word spiritual, because everybody has different languages, and when we all talk about the spirituality, we can connect in a different way. I think it's a very nice new vision for the community because he's very action orientated. And I like that. I like to live in this new revolutionary community every day of my life and every hour of the day. And if I can do that with this kind of knowledge or language, if I can apply it to my day-to-day lifestyle, I know that it's going to be real, not just words. So congratulations, it's a very beautiful language.
Thank you very much. Very good.
I'd like to share, I feel...
I'm hearing from all of you that you really like the word of the spirituality. So we'll find a... Yes, come on, you come.
Okay, I feel the, when I hear the word, just the connection to nature. What I love about seeds is the word, even seeds. It's not a conceptual thing or a great idea. It's actual seeds, and there's something very tangible. And if we're working with matter, which is the abundance, there's a direct connection to that. So I love the connection to nature, and I feel that is the connection to spirit in a really actualized kind of earthy sense. So and why I'm here, and I feel like is maybe even the sense of like this plowing of a rich soil or soul field, is this a sense of abundance, but with the earth. And Nick was someone who I had who was in Ibiza, and we were sharing, and I was like, so what happens when these seeds flowers? Like, I have the sense that there'll be many other things that happen from these seeds. Like there's a certain coin or token that few of us are working on, like a Blue Lotus coin. And I just feel that's just the beginning of others may have other things that flower from these seeds, but this is the rich soil or the soul field or the soil field that gives that. So I just want to share my love of the word and the energy behind just nature that I feel is here, and bringing nature into this makes it so pure and so precise. And I feel spirit lives in that, in nature. So yeah, something very natural about this. So thank you. Yeah. It holds so much potential for such abundance. Yeah.
That's it. I love it. Yes, and for me, that is nature is sacred. The spirituality is right in there. It covers all there. Yes, beautiful. And I love that the plowing of the soil there. Yes.
Yeah, so I just feel to add that the word, like when it connects to spirituality, as spirituality can lose, people can feel disconnected because not everyone connects to the word spirituality, but we're all connected to nature in one way or another because we are nature. So there's something about that is just so clear and yeah.
We can also use the word sacred, to treat the earth and each other and life as sacred. That's another word people like. We can explore.
Yeah.
To share.
Yeah, I have a little reaction to what Dimitri was saying about the economic, financial, and governance system. So that can sound a little bit cold, but maybe we can play with the language there, and this is in the purpose statement, and talk about economies of life. And then it's about creating economies that are in harmony with nature, right? And then it's more about flow, and how flow perpetuates the circle of life, and how everything is a gift in life, and how we have to honor that as well.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, agree. Anyone else would like to share?
I wanted to add in also the Constitution. The word Constitution is a big word, and compass is I really like bringing that in to the language. And I really do like a foundational document that is small, that is big, but it's small. It's nourishing. It's digestible, and the game guide and all the mechanics are in a different document. So as we are experiencing the purpose and the sacred structure of the numbers and these elements of imaginal, these are things that are part of this short compass. We know the framework and the machinery that Seeds has implemented so beautifully is complicated, but the spirit of it needs to come through in the shared abundant economy, the soil, the health giving nature of nature. So I really like the even just the importance of having this smaller document separate from the others.
I fully agree with you, Mark, and that's exactly why I proposed that, because my concern was if you have this very complicated, then read it. It'll be like, you know, on the website when you say, if you want to see our privacy agreements, click here. I'm sure that nobody ever reads those documents. So we want the Constitution, which is so important. It's our founding document, to be something that almost like a framework for our own self-actualization as well, how each of us are is seeds, and how do we develop our seed potential as well as our cosmological potential for this time. So yeah, and look forward, if there are designers in this community, how we could make this something so beautiful that you might even want to have it around you, you know, that when you yourself feel like that's what a compass should do, when you feel like, oh, I need some, you know, clarity or direction. This is what I do myself. In my meditation every day, I visualize this compass inside myself. So I see it as a living, and I ask it to cohere and align and clear and balance anything within myself that is out of balance or out of alignment. And I let it do its work, and its purpose is now really aligned with the purpose of life itself. My vision is getting clear. I'm centered into these 3 dimensions of life. Then I feel, oh, the actualization system within myself, that is also part of life and nature. And then you feel your kind of your values. This is what I feel is aligned. This is supportive. This is how it can be of great service. So you can even just and you may find it's very, very helpful for really centering yourself. And I think we're at our, yes.
Can I share
Yes,
something?
go.
Yeah. Yeah, my name is
Please,
Anson. Thank you. Yeah. I've never been on a Seeds call actually, but so I'm completely new to this community. But I felt resonant with the question that was asked in the email invitation of how to make Seeds into a living ceremony. And I've been observing for a while this conversation. And I would like to add in on what Susan was addressing of how do we embody really the values and the principles of what you're aiming to create and live. And Anneloes, you were just referring to that as well. And what I'm feeling myself is it's like, how do we hold a sacred space even for a conversation like this? Because just in my humble reflection, what I noticed in the conversation, in my own experience, I would love to have even a deeper drop in, you know, where people can really sink into their feelings and into their experiential, the experience of being connected and being together. And I think in that process, a deeper inner voice can come out. And that for me is the ceremonial space. So even if you ask like, okay, what's the feedback on this constitution? It would be really beautiful to facilitate, in Art of Hosting, they facilitate meaningful conversations by facilitating people in a to really drop in deeper and even have moments of silence and stillness. And that's just a reflection I have. It's not a criticism at all. I just think it's an add-on, or could be very complementary to the space that you're creating. And it's a deeper feminine space of intimacy. And that for me is the embodiment of freedom.
Yes, beautiful. There's a delay in the line. So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah, wonderful. So yes, fully resonated what you're saying, because we did that for an hour. Yes. It didn't feel appropriate to do that again today. So because we were in that ceremony for 1 hour with the whole community and in such deep meditation and sounding and with the bells and so like, okay, we need to go through a little bit more information, but yes. And I think this is also where we're all together looking at how can we create those ceremonies as well. So we can really drop in like that. So there will be many, many future times when we can do that.
Well, I didn't know you already did that.
So, yes, I will share the recording. I've given the link to Reiki. I don't know when it's going to be uploaded, but the recording is will be sent, I think, soon to everyone who was not able to attend yesterday for the solstice ceremony, where we have this very deep meditation. Yes.
Hello. I want to add what Ansan said.
Yeah.
I have I have just a few years experiencing my own gift, and I don't know if that it's the same with you, but I need sometimes I need some help to understand how to apply that gift that I have with other people's with the community. So it's very interesting if someone else can share about their own gifts and how they apply it on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The internet connection isn't very great, so I'm hearing about your gift and how to share that. I think that's the contact for the call today. The purpose of this feel that okay and align and simplicity. What is it? Steven, you had such a wonderful word for that. Simplexity. Yeah. How do we put that into a verb? And with the compass. And then there is also in design, in process, there are going to be ceremonies, courses, workshops, and all of that. Where also people are supported to understand what is my purpose in this community and what is my gift and how can we both all develop that. So just to also honor everyone's right. Would you be able to close it complete it for today? And thank you everyone so much for everything.
Was that a pass off to me?
Can I have a quick drop-in feedback? Just literally a few seconds.
Take it.
What's following what Ansan said about that, we need to have this space, and I call it being space and archetypal space that we can explore, because every one of us is carrying the part of idea of seeds, different part of idea of the seeds. And by connecting to those archetypes which you mentioned and those ideas, we can access whatever in each of us and drop this like right into the ether, into the air, create a space for other people to hear it, and just create a space to put it in. And then we can condense all these ideas down and create a code. So we were mentioning about creating a small document where we can have this condensed idea or a vision, and code to access this idea or vision, because it's really big. It feels like super strong and vibrative and big, and everyone carrying. So why we can't create this space, allow everyone to drop in, condense and down, and just make it happen. Thank you. That's me.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I see Helena there as well, and that will really complete it. Helena.
Yes. Hi. I'm sorry, but I missed most of the call. But I was very interested in hearing about this compass. Well, I didn't see that you were talking about a sort of a real compass. But I would love to, well, sometime, maybe not in this call because you're coming towards the end, talk about that, because we're using a compass. And I really liked that word that you mentioned. I'm not sure who it was, but this simplexity, because that's something that we need to simplify, complexity, definitely. And the compass that I'm using, it's based on a compass that has 4 compass points based on northeast, southwest. But instead of that, you have nature, education, economy, sustainable societies, and well-being. And to show that we need to turn things around and that nature is the basis for our survival, the compass is turned upside down.
The points, then the 5 points. So these are the archetype points, the elemental points, the wisdom points. They all follow the 4 cardinal directions and the center point. Yes.
Okay. So great.
Beautiful. And you may find that what you have there aligns on that as well. Basically, the idea is once you see the architecture deeper under it, and then overlay, like you're saying, you can place nature there, you can put the cosmos there. I mean, so once you see how the archetypal kind of structures work at each stage of the becoming, then it's beautiful. Everything finds its place.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. I'm looking forward to see.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So right now, really to you.
Thank you. There's just so much wisdom that wants to come through these calls, and unfortunately, we have to stick to some time boundaries. I don't think there's ever going to be a moment where we've condensed all the wisdom that's in this community, especially as the community keeps growing. So what we're not trying to do here is find something perfect. What we're always trying to do is find good enough for now so we can keep moving. Knowing that the literal process and reason at terre for seeds is to continue to evolve. So as more wisdom shows, as we continue to mature, we can update this constitution, this compass, as we use it, which is actually the purpose. So I don't think we should strive for perfection to start, just putting that out there. Last bit is just, let's take this back to Discord. We do these calls fairly routinely. I know there's a lot of ad hoc calls happening all the time that the community is setting up. So there's like 5 different mentions I felt like I heard here for different topics that people want to discuss. Feel free to come to Discord, mention that as a call, host it, bring people together and discuss. So we need to decentralize this process. Haifa shouldn't be hosting all the calls, I feel like, and that's not already happening anyway. So an invitation to set some of these calls up and take that leadership. So if you're not already in Discord, just reach out to somebody who is and get an invite. Otherwise, let's take the conversation there and we'll keep it going. So beautiful seeing you all, and welcome to the new year, because my new year starts on the solstice. So until next time, everyone. Thank you.
Happy New Year, happy solstice. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year, happy solstice, everyone. Bye-bye. You can all unmute, so we can all say
bye.
Well,
thank you, Anneloes, for leading such a wonderful morning. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.